promise that comes in our lessons tonight. A promise, a declaration, a word of faith. Did you catch it in the Philippians reading? Paul says, catch it? I want to see where it is. Here it is. Christ has made me his own. Christ has made me his own. I'd like you to say that with me. Christ has made me his own. Now think about it for just a minute. Do you understand that Christ has made you his own? That this is a statement about your person, about who you are, about everything that is about you, about everything that will yet be about you. And like Paul, we say it because we know it's true about me. Christ has made me his own. Christ has made me his own. That gets me excited. That gets my soul stirring. That's soul talk. And when that happens, what I want to do is fall at the feet of the Lord of life. Because Christ has made me his own. I can hardly believe the wonder of it all. I can hardly believe the power of it all. Me, in his mercy, knowing everything about me, and you don't know the half of it. He still wants me. He still loves me. He still calls me. And he makes me his own. So in my soul and in my heart, even if my crazy knees don't want to cooperate, I fall at the feet of Jesus. And you know what happens when you fall at the feet of Jesus? One of the things is that you find the miracle of mercy. Now that beautiful story in our gospel lesson tonight. Mary and Martha and Lazarus. They're familiar characters. We've seen them through several Bible stories in Matthew and in Luke and in John. And we have those stories about Mary and Martha, if you remember. Martha busy in the kitchen, doing all the things to get ready for the supper. And Mary enthralled at Jesus' feet, listening to his teachings. You remember when Martha came in and said, Lord, tell her to get into the kitchen and help me where she belongs. And Jesus said, she has a place at my feet. And their brother Lazarus, sick unto death. And Jesus comes too late to save him from his illness. And at the time of desperation, when Lazarus is as dead as could be after being 4 days in the tomb, when Martha and Mary come to him and say, Lord, if you had been here, we would not have experienced this death. And Jesus said, I am the resurrection and the life. Do you believe it? And they said, yes, Lord, I believe. And then just to show it, in their misery and in their hurt, and in the deepest place where death has encountered them, in the place where it hurts the soul the most, Jesus turned everything around and brought Lazarus out of the tomb back to life. So here we have another story about Mary and Martha and Lazarus. And the characters are where you'd expect them to be. Lazarus is at the table with the other followers for a dinner given in celebration of brand new life, of restored life, of life where there had been only a vision of death. And there's Martha in the kitchen, fixing things, serving things, doing things. She's busy with her hands. But where's Mary? Mary comes in, and this miracle of mercy that God has brought into her life, where death has been overcome by life, and Lazarus has been restored again, and there is something so incredibly new to her. she comes and brings beautiful, expensive perfume. And she kneels down at the feet of the Lord of Life and anoints his feet and wipes them with her hair. What an incredible gift. What a beautiful way to say, thank you, God. You have filled my life. You've changed my vision. Everything is different. How do I say thank you to God who has given me far more than I could ever imagine or hope for? Mary has experienced that miracle of mercy, and the only place she can imagine herself is on her knees at the feet of Jesus. Now think in your own life. How many times has that miracle of mercy come into your own life? More often than you know how to count. They come in little ways, in big ways, in ways that we don't even notice sometimes. Sometimes it's as simple as finding the thing that you lost and you know that you couldn't find it again until God said, here it is. It comes in the way when that car just didn't quite hit yours. It comes in the times when their health changes in ways that are new. It comes in those coincidences that are really not coincidences at all, but they are God incidences and places where God makes an impact in your life. We see those miracles of mercy, and the most appropriate thing for us to do is to respond by falling at the feet of Jesus and saying thank you. Mary does it with the only way she knows how, with beautiful, wonderful fragrance and scent, and with a way of adorning him, the one she loves. Now, another thing happens. When we fall at the feet of Jesus, we are given the choice to change. When we fall at the feet of Jesus, what we have behind us can be different from what we have in front of us. We actually get a choice on how we're going to live from here on out. In this picture of Mary anointing Jesus with her perfume and with the hair, there's another character, isn't there? It is the figure of Judas, the one who betrayed Jesus. Judas had choices like all of us do. And at this moment in time, Judas has a choice to change. We all do. Judas looks at this event of Mary falling at the feet of Jesus and is filled with nothing but criticism. In his heart, he says, what a terrible thing to do. What a waste. Look, that perfume is the most expensive stuff. It would take almost a year's wages to pay for this amount of perfume. That's extravagant. And wouldn't it be so much better, he's puffing up himself, if we could just give it to the poor so that they wouldn't be so hungry? But Judas is not thinking of any of the good things. Judas is not falling at the feet of Jesus. Judas is choosing not to change. And that is our place in life. What are we going to do? How are we going to manage? Where are we going to go when we experience these miracles of mercy, when we look for the things that God is doing in our lives, and how we can be a different person moving forward? Jesus says of Mary to Judas, let her alone. She has a new vision for life. This perfume, Jesus said, had been purchased for Jesus' burial. She was focused on death. She had heard those predictions of Jesus that he was going to Jerusalem, he was going to be crucified, he was going to his death, and she was powerless to do anything to change it. And so instead she prepares for the worst. But when when she sees that Jesus has another answer of life over death in what he did with Lazarus, she changes. And she doesn't wait anymore for Jesus' burial. She celebrates his life and pours it all at his feet. It's a symbol and a sign of praise. Judas doesn't know that. He doesn't understand that. And Jesus says, Mary is the one who will be remembered for long years. How many years now? Some 2,000 plus. And we're still telling her story. There is a choice to change. There is a way that we need to examine ourselves and see what's going to happen next. I have a little story for you. A woman accompanied her husband to the doctor's office. After his checkup, the doctor called the wife into the office and spoke to her alone. He said, I have some serious news for you. Your husband has a very severe disease. It's combined with horrible stress. And if you don't do the following, your husband will surely die very soon. So each morning, the doctor said, I want you to fix him a healthy breakfast, be pleasant, be sure he is in a good mood. And for lunch, make him a nutritious meal. For dinner, prepare an especially nice meal for him. And don't burden him with any chores. He probably had a hard day. Don't discuss your problems with him. It will add to the stress. It'll make it worse. And most importantly, make love to him several times a week and satisfy his every whim. And if you can do this for the next 10 months to a year, I think your husband will regain health completely. Well, later on the way home, as husband and wife are driving along, his husband turned to his wife and said, what did the doctor say? And his wife turned to him and said, you're going to die. We sometimes get a little bit of laughter over those things, and we should. But the choice is sometimes too much for us to make. It is not an easy thing. And so that comes to the last point I want to talk about today. When you fall at the feet of Jesus, we find love without limits. It is Christ's love. This Jesus that we look at in this sanctuary is the resurrected Jesus. You see the nail marks in his hands and feet, the piercing in his side. It is this limitless love of God that has brought Jesus into this world to be like us, to take on everything of this world and our humanness, and to change us into something else, so that we can say yes to change, so that we can be more than our past. That beautiful lesson that comes from Philippians. Philippians is my very favorite book of the Bible. Paul, the man that used to be Saul, who had credentials of all kinds of things, that was the best resume you could ever find in ancient times. He had all the degrees. He had all the things that you would want in a very famous person. But what does he say? In this time when he is writing from prison, because they are putting him on trial for his faith in Jesus Christ. And he is not knowing whether he's going to live or whether he's going to die. He does not know what the verdict will be. And in this time, he is reveling in the limitless love of God. He is finding that no matter which way he goes, if he gets to stay, he gets to be with his friends and with his people, and it's wonderful. And if he is not, if he is to be executed for his faith, then he gets to see the sunshine of Jesus' face. He gets the best of all. And he says, no matter which way, I win. Why? Because Christ has made me his own. Do you get it? Say it with me. Christ has made me his own. Do it one more time and point to yourself. Christ has made me his own. Now, Paul knew it. Paul began to understand the incredible things, and he changed his name, changed everything about him, and he became this incredible missionary and spokesperson for Christ. His soul just blossomed and beamed, and everything about him was powerful because Christ was in him and he was in Christ. And he knew that powerful thing of Christ has made me his own. He said, I didn't do anything. Forget the resume, it's all rubbish. Anything that I have earned does not merit the gift of the heavenly call that we get in Jesus Christ. It is something brand new. Something that God has done for me, not something that I do that I try to earn from God. And so he says, I press on to the goal of the heavenly calling. That's the one thing that Paul does. He does nothing of trying to get there. He does nothing about trying to be good. He does nothing about any of those things except pressing on to the one thing that is important. To press on to find that limitless love of God in the heavenly call. And when we do that, we find we are changed. We're changed for good. And it comes with faith that Christ has made me his own. It is a love that stretches us, moves us, and now the change comes in what we do with it with other people. So our service becomes new ministry. Our living becomes falling at the feet of Jesus and letting the soul blossom and grow. So tonight, in the heart of hearts and in the deepest places of your soul, as you come forward for communion, as you light candles in prayer, in the places of your deepest heart, kneel at the feet of Jesus. Find that mercy of miracles. Find that choice to change. And find that limitless love that makes you his own. Say it with me one last time. Christ has made me his own. Amen. Let us sing together our next